Let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're tackling a really fascinating paradox in the plant world. Look, if you've ever watched a vibrant, beautiful aloe vera slowly turn into a mushy, brown disaster, well, you're definitely not alone. Actually, we're going to unpack a pretty massive irony today. The absolute biggest threat to your aloe vera is your own good intentions.
There's a great story in our sources about a grandmother passing down a gorgeous 20-year-old heirloom aloe plant. Her only advice? Don't love it too much. But of course, the person who got it totally ignored that. They took this incredible 2-decade-old plant, watered it religiously every 3 days, stuck it in the absolute sunniest window they had, and even talked to it. And you know what happened? 2 months later, dead. Just a mushy, brown goner.
So that brings us to a slightly uncomfortable question. Are you loving your aloe to death? Listen, if you're carrying around some serious gardening guilt over a plant you accidentally killed, I need you to let that go right now. Seriously, let it go. We are completely validating that guilt today. Because aloe vera, it plays by a set of rules that are the exact opposite of everything we're taught about gardening. With aloe, literally, the more you care, the faster you kill it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We need to totally redefine what it means to be a lazy plant owner. When it comes to aloe, lazy gardening isn't neglect at all. It's actually a super calculated, hands-off strategy custom-built for desert natives. It's a masterclass in just stepping back. And to pull it off, we're going to walk through the 7 secrets of this lazy gardening manifesto.
Starting right off with Section 1, the perfect environment.
The real secret to being successfully lazy later on is setting up the exact physical boundaries your plant needs on day one. You can really see the contrast in the setups we've highlighted. Your typical houseplants usually love plastic pots and dense, moist soil. But if you try that with an aloe, you're literally going to suffocate it. Aloe demands well-draining real estate. You absolutely want porous terracotta pots that actually breathe and let extra moisture escape. And for the soil, it needs to drain incredibly fast. A proven golden ratio is 1 part perlite to 2 parts regular potting soil. That perlite creates these essential little air pockets so the roots stay happy and don't rot out.
Which brings us to a harsh but completely non-negotiable rule. Drainage. If your pot doesn't have a hole at the bottom, you will have a dead aloe. It really is that simple. Water just cannot sit at the bottom of the pot. Also, because aloe roots are shallow and like to spread out rather than dig deep, a wide, shallow pot is way better than a deep one. Oh, and a super quick aside for the pet parents watching, aloe leaves have compounds called saponins that are mildly toxic to cats and dogs, so make sure that perfectly draining pot is chilling safely up on a high shelf. Right, let's talk about sunlight. This is where the whole desert plant label really tricks us and leads straight into what we call the sunburn trap. Shoving your aloe right up against a blistering south-facing window is basically locking it in a tanning bed all day long. If you're seeing brown, crispy edges, your plant is literally cooking. The actual sweet spot is bright, indirect light. Think maybe pulled a few feet back from the glass or an east-facing window where it just gets that gentle morning sun. And hey, if your plant starts stretching out and looking a bit leggy, just give the pot a quarter turn every couple of weeks to keep it growing straight up.
Moving on to Section 2, the lazy watering strategy.
So, once your environment is dialed in, you're ready to tackle the absolute most common mistake people make, overwatering. We fix this with a really concrete process called the soak and dry method. Step 1. When you do water it, soak the soil deeply until you see water running out of that mandatory drainage hole. Step 2. Wait. You're going to wait 2 to 3 full weeks until the soil is bone dry. And step 3 is how you verify, the 2-inch finger test. Just stick your finger 2 inches deep into the dirt. If you feel even a tiny hint of moisture, walk away. You only water when it is completely 100% dry.
Think about it like this. It's basically a camel in plant form. I absolutely love that comparison. You've got to remember, an aloe vera actively stores its own water right inside those thick, fleshy leaves. It's fully equipped to survive for weeks without you hovering around with a watering can. So whenever you're in doubt about whether or not to water, the absolute best thing you can do is just turn around and walk away.
So how exactly do you feed a plant camel? Honestly, very sparingly. These guys evolved in some of the harshest, most nutrient-starved conditions on Earth. Less is definitely more here. You really only need to fertilize twice a year, once in the spring and once in the summer when it's actively growing. Use a basic 10-10 liquid fertilizer, but dilute it to half strength. Too much fertilizer will actually burn the plant and cause those brown tips. Honestly,
If you want to take the ultimate lazy route and just do nothing at all, your plant's going to be perfectly fine.
Which leads us to Section 3, the $0 temperature trick.
I've been really excited to share this one with you. Turning a struggling plant into an absolute showpiece doesn't take any weird gadgets, and it costs exactly $0. The crucial point here is simply positioning. Your aloe vera is incredibly sensitive to cold drafts and AC vents. Literally just moving your plant a few feet away from a drafty winter window or out of the direct blast of an air conditioner costs absolutely nothing, but it completely transforms your plant's health by stopping temperature shock right in its tracks.
Aloe prefers what we like to call the Goldilocks zone. That's roughly 55 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, basically normal room temperature. The rule of thumb is, if you're comfortable in the room, your aloe is comfortable. Now, it's also super important to know that during winter, your aloe is naturally going to go dormant. It slows way down. It's not dying, it's just resting. And during that dormancy phase, you need to be even lazier, watering it even less than you normally do.
Now for Section 4, How to Speak Aloe. Okay, once you shift your mindset from helicopter parent to casual observer, you can actually start listening to what your plant is visually telling you. I highly encourage you to take a screenshot of this translation matrix we've put together because it's a real game changer. Let's walk through it. See wrinkled, thin leaves? The plant is saying it's thirsty and burning through its stored water. Are the leaves mushy and translucent? It's drowning. That's root rot and you need to stop watering immediately. Red or crispy brown edges? Too much direct sun, it's getting a sunburn. And if the leaves are pale or kind of flopping outward like they're reaching for something, it's just not getting enough light. Once you master this matrix, taking care of it becomes completely effortless. And as a quick bonus tip from our sources, here is a secret that like 99% of casual plant owners completely overlook. If you want to elevate your plant from just healthy to absolutely jaw-dropping, give it an annual spa day. Just once a year, brew up a batch of compost tea or steep some worm castings in water overnight and use that next time you water. It completely floods the soil with natural nutrients and beneficial microbes without any of those harsh chemicals. That's how you get those thick, deep green, magazine cover leaves.
Let's bring all this together and see how this builds into our complete lazy recap. If you just follow this system, give it bright, indirect light, use the soak and dry method, pot it in well-draining soil inside a terracotta pot with a hole, keep it away from drafts for $0, barely ever feed it, and just read the leaves, you have a completely foolproof system. This is the exact method that takes a plant from looking like a pile of sad, droopy octopus legs and turns it into a stunning, upright piece of living architecture.
Because at the end of the day, it all comes back to the core philosophy of our explainer. The less I did, the more beautiful it became. Aloe vera really is the undisputed champion of the leave me alone plant category. Your job isn't to constantly hover and intervene. Your job is just to set the stage properly and then get out of the way.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. If the ultimate, scientifically backed secret to a thriving desert plant is doing absolutely nothing, what will your lazy garden look like 6 months from now? I really hope you embrace this strategy of calculated neglect, trust the process, and just enjoy the awesome results of doing less. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, happy lazy gardening!